Today, the 1st of April, and we finally have the news that we've been waiting for, that we have officially qualified for the Torian Pro. We submitted our workouts, we did challenging workouts over a 4-week schedule, which interrupts the regular flow that you have to your training cycle. It's harder on the system, you sometimes have repeat efforts, it's not an easy thing to do. We now waited for a further week to get our scores officially verified through a video check-in process, and they have now been confirmed, and we finished our qualification in 23rd position out of 32 teams. So that means at the end of May 2025, we will be heading up to Brisbane to compete in the Pro Teams division at the Torian Pro. I am kind of lost for words with how good that feels. It was something I could have only dreamed of at one point in my life. And upon arriving here in Australia, it seemed just slightly possible, with realizing the people I've been training around and the environments that I'm in, and ultimately the level that people provide to witness here in Australia and in Melbourne. And the opportunity has presented itself to be a part of a solid team, especially the women. The women are pretty much what makes a team do well. And yeah, the preparations can now start to build towards that. So what I'm going to be trying to do is detail as much of this process as I can, just because it's something that people seem to be interested in. I know I would have been interested to see if someone I knew was partaking and if they was showing the journey and documenting that. So that's what I plan to do. Training starts today. Let's go and get it. And this is the gym I plan to be training out of and have been training out of for the past 8 to 10 months. It's not a bad place. And that's that, session 1, the preparations for Torian underway. The way my training usually looks, especially the first session of the week, will be conditioning, which I will continue to work on. I know that is a lagging element, which I have drastically improved on, but there is still some way to go, some grit so I can hold, but in terms of pushing, that's something I really need to work on. And will be doing so because I now have my driving force to allow me to really find new gears in my training. After that, I had some gymnastic work to do, and one of my main goals is to improve my ring muscle up capability, and that starts with being able to even do one of the fundamental elements of CrossFit, which is the strict ring muscle up. And today I thought, right, I'll try it. Didn't get it. Tried a regressive drill to progress me towards what the field should be. Got that, and then I got my first ever strict ring muscle up, which is a very good omen for things to come, and something I will continue to be working on. After that, my weightlifting coach, Michael, who I've been working with for years, he is from South Africa. He coaches me remotely and has gotten me to some very astronomical numbers I could have only dreamed of one day. And we've been in a testing phase, or we've been leading up to a testing phase, which I have been distracted by almost in the lead up to that testing phase because of the open prep and the Torian qualifiers. So today was the testing of my power snatch for a heavy single, which is something I've not tried for a long time with confidence, and I've been building that again through this testing phase. I managed to get 100 kilos for that power snatch just about, and thought I'd try 105, which is something I've never hit in the squat snatch or the power snatch. That's something I really need to be hitting if I'm going to be competing with the numbers that my clean and jerk should be up there with. Some back squatting after that, the heavy 10s, and this is just a sign of things to come. Obviously my lifestyle is about to change slightly because it needs to cater for the training that I'm trying to work on. I have weaknesses I'm trying to gain improvement on, and also just trying to ramp the intensity up
with the right progression towards the training cycle that yields me towards the Torian Pro without overdoing it. But that is some days going to lean more towards double sessions, but the double sessions are only probably going to be more running, and alongside that I'm going to be needing to eat a lot more. Well, not a lot, but probably maybe 500-600 more calories than I currently am, and obviously making sure the sleep provisions are in place to allow me to sleep and recover well. So all in all, first session on the road to Torian, not a bad one indeed. Onwards we go. Day 2, and the body is feeling it a little bit after yesterday. It was a good day's training. I probably could have stretched a little bit more after that session, and also had a few days off over the weekend, so naturally the body does take a little bit of adjustment to the volume that I subject it to, and that is also going to be reflected in how much my recovery protocols increase, which again, sauna and all that in due course. But another big factor to last night was I probably slept maybe 5 hours at best, on account of neighbours with the thin walls that are in the kind of old apartment building that we are situated in, deciding to enjoy themselves in a social setting, which was, keeping me up all night. So that's going to be a fun discussion today. So, I've been up early from 4:30 this morning. Food has been underway, that kind of stuff, and classes have been coached here at CrossFit St Kilda. I am just about to do some limbering up before the next class starts, just to loosen things off, and then training will commence after that. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative today, probably not as much weightlifting, because I have 7 hours of coaching, 4 this morning and 3 in the evening later on. Combine that with a bad night's sleep, could be a recipe for less ideal circumstances. So just being mindful and caring to the body. Let's get it. Right, my turn. Gymnastics and Metcon is the goal. Handstand push-ups, shoulder work, and then a spicy little number coming up. Thought I'd pull out the big guns for this part. 5 sets of 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, accumulating max reps to find out which strategy would allow me to accumulate the most reps within that time frame. I started with going 7s on every 30 seconds, which allowed me to accumulate 28 reps, giving me 4 sets of the 7 in total. Then experimented on the next set with 5s, going 5 reps every 20 seconds, which gave me 1 more rep per minute and 2 extra reps overall, giving me 30 reps in that minute. And that's just data points that we can experiment with training, which allows us to just take that into different settings, competition ideally. Then we're moving on to some supplementary exercise just to increase capacity with the dumbbell shoulder press. And I've noticed something interesting, that when we do the shoulder press, typically in CrossFit or in general, most people have the elbows pointing forward, which is conducive to the handstand push-up, but the conventional bodybuilding press is out to the side. And what I was feeling, because I haven't done this for a while, is my left shoulder, which typically gives me a bit of trouble, flaring up. I've been able to correct that with this exercise, trying to self-correct by pulling my shoulders back and down, but I wouldn't have recognized that unless I just reverted back to conventional bodybuilding exercises, which do really build on symmetries. So they are something I definitely need to keep in my training, just to make sure I can keep my joints and my movement patterns healthy. Definitely supplementary, they won't be a dominance, but they are certainly helpful. Oh, the beauty and the struggle. 4, 8, 12, 16, ascending ladder of hang power cleans, chest to bars and box jump overs. 30-minute AMRAP with a 3-minute rest, and the score that I got on the AMRAP, I then had to chase that back down for time in the second part. So I essentially gave myself 30 minutes and it took slightly longer than that, and I'll applaud anyone who could beat the time they get on the AMRAP. Oh, these are the workouts where I am all alone in my thoughts. This is where it really starts to count of how much I'm willing to push myself when I'm on my own, to mimic the environment that would be around my teammates and trying to match the efforts that in my head I assume that they are making to allow me to push myself. This is how we have to kind of trick ourselves into pushing rather than just enduring. Sometimes the sessions are for that, but these metcons, these push sessions, these are where we fine tune, we learn thresholds, and that's where the hard work pays off. I need water, I need food.
Pre-evening coaching snack. Yeah. I think this will probably be the hardest challenge I'm going to have to navigate in these preparations. It's going to be the food and nutrition side of things, in that I have a very active lifestyle. I probably do anywhere between 10 to 15,000 and above steps per day, especially on days like today where I'm coaching a lot of hours, split shift if you want to call it that, but generally very active. I coach 5 days a week and I'm probably in the gym 6, if not 7 days a week. Just generally have a very active lifestyle. If I'm supporting strength increases or even just maintaining body composition through my active lifestyle, I need to intake a large amount of calories. I was just on my way to the gym and I realized that I probably need to be refueling or at least getting my calories back up before I head for the evening classes, because obviously getting back late, I can't have too much of a late dinner before bed because that is too big of a meal sitting on the stomach as you're trying to get to sleep. These are the things that I have to be thinking about. What an evening for it.
3, 2, 1. 3, let's go. Try to pull your shoulder blades down for me. Think of pulling your shoulders back and down, pull your back up. Yeah. Better, much better. Yeah.
Home for the evening meal, and I am a lucky man because I've had this made for me. And like I said, that is probably going to be the hardest part of prepping for Torian, is how the food is managed. So when stuff like this makes food consumption more convenient, I can only feel grateful for that. So I'm eating alone, but that's how we wrap it up for today. Hi, can I please order a flat white, please? 2, and one with almond milk. Yeah, please. One, please. Sorry? Almond, sorry. I always say it wrong. Nathan. It's good. I am someone who needs a extra hot flat white because I take my time, I sip. I never really let it make too much contact with my teeth. That's always been intentional. Just a kind of preservation, I guess. But it's also going to draw out the coffee and let me enjoy this dopamine experience for as long as possible too. So as of last night, we officially got our invite. We're registered on Competition Hub now, which makes this all feel that little bit more real. The next thing left to do to actually get us there is to book the flight, which is apparently around $200 now, to get the return to Brisbane, which will need to be on the Thursday night, and to also book accommodation for breakfast. And this is something I'll always revert to if I'm feeling like I want to enjoy myself a little bit more. It's not horrendous. Some of it's cooked in oil, but it's virgin olive oil, and it's like a breakfast sandwich: bacon, egg, sausages, hash brown, of course, and the usual English brown sauce. Pretty much trying to balance a high intake of calories, but also making sure I'm hitting high fats and high protein, but also high carbs as well. High everything. So my challenge is actually just to make sure I'm not eating enough of the bad things, mainly things like refined sugars and stuff like that, but I still need those for training. So generally, it's just about making good choices. And here I now am at my third gym of the week. I work in 3 gyms across Melbourne, one based in St Kilda, one based in Richmond, and one based here in South Bank.
Now that does sound worse than it is, but two of the gyms in Richmond and South Bank, are owned by the same owner. So although I technically work in 3 gyms, I technically work for 2 gyms. So the allocation of hours across that is much easier than it sounds.
It's a pretty cool spot to train at. Can't lie. Don't actually get here to train much. Seldom, really.
It is because of its significant drive across the city, but when the chance happens, yeah, cool spot. Class done, and now a recovery day ensues. So what I'm going for is 40 minutes on 2 on the bike. I'm going to head into the sauna after that, and like I said, I'm going to be trying to find the traditional sauna, but for now this gym here has the infrared sauna, which still has some benefits. Thursday is going to continue to be zone 2 recovery day, and what I'm actually going to do is I normally train Monday to Wednesday, and then I'll train full tilt Friday, Saturday. I'm now going to change that to probably full tilt Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which would mimic the flow of the competition weekend in terms of what the body can tolerate. Typically when Sunday's rest day, my body would be used to that on Sunday in terms of how it pans out this 7-day schedule of the week. So yeah, tomorrow will be the start of the new routine, which means rest days on Mondays. It's all about just trialing, seeing what works best. Hopefully this is the one. Sauna time.
After all that, active recovery day, coaching done, home to pasta, chicken, prawns, salad, parmesan. Good eating.
That won't be good for my career. That'll sit me down.
That is good lifting, especially on the jerks. That is something I only could have wished for, dreamed for one day when I first started my weightlifting, hoping that I could cycle the 140 barbell. I was done that along with 60 other reps of jerks and front squats. I'm happy.
coaching now, and it's getting a little bit colder here in Melbourne. And guess what this idiot did? Shorts. It's taken me about 8 months to learn how to do the milk properly. It's finally clicked. Not exactly perfect, but that noise used to be screeching all the time. Because now I can get that velvety look, barista style. Taste test. Let's go. Night Jack. Is the morning class is done. I'm actually heading over to the Great Fit Gym in South Bank, south of the city, now to head for our first team training session, where we train as that team of 4 and see how we can all communicate, strategize, and start to understand each other's ability in the team setting. So I'll see what I can get, see what we can show, and let's see how this pans out.
3, 2, 1, go!
Stay standing up until.
Getting back after that session and checking back over the footage, I can see that we are really onto something. So that was our first official team training session where we all know we can train well. It's about how we can gel together as a team and know each other's strengths and weaknesses and how we can communicate around those, making sure we can strategize well, know when to break, know when to push, all that kind of stuff, and knowing how well we pair up with each other at different kind of workout intensities. And it was a really good chance for us to just also kind of let loose and be a bit more social around each other, because we haven't had that much of late. But it wasn't an easy session. We did an EMOM to start with, EMOM for 12 minutes, male, female, going as a pair. 15 chest to bars in minute 1. In minute 2 was 10 front squats at 70 and 50 kilos respectively. And then minute 3 was 20 alternating dumbbell snatch. We did that for 12 minutes. We rested 3 minutes, and then we did the same format again. The 12-minute EMOM, this time 15 toes to bar, swapping partners to mixed 10 box jumps, synchro, and then 10 bar facing burpees, before we then finished with our final piece, which was 3 rounds for time, but more for logistical understanding of how we can progress, of 15 calories on the assault bike, 15 bar muscle ups as a team. We did that synchro. And then 15, it was supposed to be worm, clean and jerks, but we don't have the worm available yet. We will next week. We just chose an odd object clean and jerk with the kettlebell, which we again went synchro with. And what we're understanding, because we're all that kind of mature end of the athlete spectrum, we communicate very well. It's a really promising start. Not really any hiccups, no arguments, that kind of stuff. I can imagine the arguments will come at some point, but it's just very encouraging to start with. I'm already excited for what the next session brings, and it makes me more fired up to putting my side of the bargain. With that being said, I still have one more day of training left this week, which will be my tomorrow session, Sunday. Now it's time to make some dinner. Easy does it, steak and chips with some seasonings on there. And I have been trying to get more steak into my diet recently, just to have that increase of red meat and the proposed benefits of that, which is typically related to protein and hormonal balancing. So, it's all going well. Nice rest after this. I'm going to continue watching the In-Betweeners. Tomorrow's a new day.
10 RP, which isn't a 1 rep max, but it is a heavy feel. And this is about my own data collection of what that high effort output actually is, what it feels like, what's maybe pushing too far, but ultimately to find out what the sweet spot is. It's somewhere around this point. Pull off the floor was a little bit weak on that one, and the dip of the jerk was a bit laboured too, which meant the lift didn't quite feel as efficient as it should be. Didn't feel like I was working at my hardest, but the technique wasn't quite there, which meant I had to work harder. So with those 2 points, if I can dial this one in, make this feel better, we'll see if there's one more jump.
And that's a wrap for the Sunday session. You win some, you lose some, and it was probably my own fault to try and see if I could get a high output from the last session of the week when the body's been under the most stress. So lesson learned to not go with such high percentages. The weights didn't feel as good as they normally do, but that's fine. And then I didn't have the time or the patience in me to do the rest of my workout, so I went more for a bodybuilding feel. But it's let me know what the kind of parameters need to be for further Sunday sessions. They probably need to be low impact in terms of more like a hierarchy feel, conditioning feel, catching up that way, which will be something that's in the thoughts for the coming week. But then to summarize how this first week of the prep for the Torian Pro 2025 went, I can't really be any happier. Training went well, the intentions were there, we got our first team training session in, and I very much look forward to more of those. And it's just a sign of more things to come. It's about learning along the way, it's about optimizing the schedule, definitely improving the sleep, definitely trying to get into that traditional sauna, and more good habits, if anything. We ask ourselves what we'd like to work on, and people ask me what I'd like to work on for the Torian Pro. And aside from a couple of things like the strict ring muscle up or like a little bit of running here and there, it's more about doing more of the same good practices, but also fine-tuning our efforts as a team. We still have a way to go in terms of how we learn and understand each other, but we set a really good marker to begin with. I'm really excited for where this can go. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to catch up for the next one, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think of it. Thanks for the support, and I very much appreciate the love. Plenty more where this came from.